Hey everybody! How are we doing? Got Nikori, Diapples, Mcval all in the chat. Welcome, welcome. This screen, right? No, it's not that screen. Oh, because I flipped both of them. Yeah, of course. Hold up, hold up. Oh no, now you can see my second screen setup. Where is it? There we go. Switch setup. Hey, there we go. How am I doing? I'm doing great. Thank you so much for asking. Time to continue on the list and make some more building pieces. I've been going through a lot of the roof pieces this week, and I've done like a good chunk of refinement. So they have like supporting pieces, and we have like little sections for the roof itself, little overhangs. Yeah, I've been going through like a lot of these pieces. We're just gonna continue on doing that. So these are the ones that I definitely want to tweak today. Let's see, we have like a bunch of wooden ones as well. But yeah. How is everyone else doing in the chat? Hope you're all doing well. Let's see. Got all these wooden pieces. 1 twin 4. Second cap for that one, I think. Got like a bunch of overhangs. These are some of the pieces that I want to be tweaking today. That's about it, I think. So let's get cracking. Just working with your stream. Awesome. That's a lot of roofs. Yeah, and so these are all the roof pieces that I have. The roofs were probably like the most trickiest thing to do in the entire project, I think, because there were so many different configurations and how they could be used, and like the amount of customization that I want to give to people that buy this pack, right? Because I don't want to make just like a standard roof. This one is pretty simple, but then you have one like this, which is slightly bigger because the main building is slightly bigger as well. So that means that I have to make additional pieces, right? So it kind of grows exponentially whenever you want to support like a different section. That's why. And then we also have like support for these kind of buildings, which then need to attach to the roofs as well. And they kind of need to follow the same curve. So yeah, I definitely didn't make it easy on myself. But it does mean that you can do like a whole bunch of cool stuff now. Pretty sweet. Oh yeah, and I did a bunch of cleanup in my Blender file as well, because that was needed too. Let's see, roof overhang small. Those are those pieces. So yeah, we're just gonna continue working, continue polishing up like all these pieces. If you have any questions, if there's any discussion topic that you want to bring up, feel free to do so. If you need help with anything yourself, feel free to ask. Otherwise, we're just gonna be chilling and enjoying some modeling. Very nice. I made a modular house for a school project and managed to get away with 9 roof pieces and then adjusting the scale to fit them together. Actually, 6 pieces. Yeah, this is the thing. You can get away with like relatively low amount of pieces, right? It also depends on how much you're scaling them, because at a certain point your scale is going to cause issues when it comes to your textile density. School project, you don't really need to take that too much into account, right? But when you get to like an actual professional pack that you're gonna sell, it becomes way more important. Yeah, enjoy those liberties as long as you can. Oh, the hacky stuff that I would do as a student. Miss it. Try planar. Oh, okay. Yeah, that's one way to get around it. Let's see. So, what's up? Hey, Andrea! Welcome, welcome. How are you doing? It's good to see you back. Don't necessarily scale it up a little bit. Make sure that every part of this follows. Ah, the good old student days. The amount of stuff that I didn't know back then. I could barely bake when I was a student. Like, I was still, when I got my first job, I was so confused with baking. Oh my god. Honestly, still surprised, you know, that I got a job in the end, but hey. Especially when you look at, like, the amount, like, the skill level of the students these days. Dang. So impressive. Means it's so quick as well. I was reading through some comments on our YouTube, and people were bringing that up, like on some older podcast videos where people were talking about that the industry changes so fast because they listened to a podcast about us talking about Unreal Engine 5. I have no idea what was said, right? I think we were just speculating about like Unreal Engine 5 and what it would do. But I think at that point we didn't really know that nanite was gonna be a thing. So yeah, that obviously changed the entire perspective. Oh, Andrea's having a bit of a meh day. I hope it doesn't last the entire day. If there's anything that I can do to help, just let me know. Luckily, we had baking during the second year. Oh yeah, we did too. That didn't really make it easier for me. I just totally didn't understand the concept. Like the school was teaching me all the stuff that I needed to do. I just didn't understand like the foundational concept of it. And there was also a large part of me that was like, you know, screw baking. Just, I always thought it was like such an unnecessary step, even though it isn't. But that's how I felt back in the day. Probably also helping me in the decision to become an environment artist and not focus on like single props, you know? Probably contributed to that. Let's see. So now we have this bracket, and we can remove the bracket as well. Just gonna see. So with these brackets, we're running into an interesting thing where I'm kind of using them on buildings, but sometimes they cause issues with overlaps. So we check. Most of it seems fine. Guess that one, but that one is not too bad. Yeah. But I also have to do more academic courses, got scientific writing currently. What does that even mean? What do you have to do in that? Because that sounds boring as hell. At least to me. Wait, these are not the same ones, aren't they? No, because these are tiled ones. Oh, I've been working on the wrong ones. Those are the wood overhangs. Overhang small. These are the ones. Okay. Oh, just one of those days? Oh, okay. That's fair enough. Fair enough. Go grab yourself a nice cup of tea or a nice coffee and enjoy the stream then. Where's the bracket that I was working on? Here it is. Oh, we're kind of jumping all over the place now. Realized that we're working on the wrong thing. Okay, so we're gonna place these brackets. So we're gonna move all these guys. These guys as well. And then at the same point, I kind of want to make this pillar section a little bit smaller. So like where this extends downwards, right? I want to just shrink it up just a little bit so that it gives us like a little bit more leeway for whenever we attach these sections to a building. Remove this as well. Then we're probably going to do the same thing on all these brackets. The new ones look way better. It's preparation for our exam project, writing a text on environmental storytelling, so I hopefully get something out of it. Very boring though. Well, okay, when it's about environmental storytelling, that's at least like a little bit better. I hope it really helps you construct like a story that you can then build an environment from, because honestly, that's something that like a lot of students are still lacking out there. So that sounds good. That sounds way better than writing like a scientific thing. I was thinking that it was going to be completely different. But this actually sounds really helpful. So we're gonna attach these two together. Oh, wait. UVs have fucked up. That's more like a world building exercise as well. Which is cool. It's probably really hard to tell at this point, but this is going to be super important for you. Yeah, yeah. Then we're gonna add like a little bit of damage to these guys as well. Oop, stack them up. Small. Are you using trim sheets for the textures? Yep. Hello, N. Welcome. How are you doing? So yeah, all of this is built with trim sheets. This one is... That one is good as well. This one doesn't really have any information. Oh, hate this. Oh no, it's fine. Wait, what? Oh no, it's not fine. Let's rotate this guy. Do we have to do the same thing on all of these? I think so. Flipping them around. Saw you doing portfolio reviews the other day. How can I get in someday? Sorry if you explain it. I haven't watched it yet. So the way to get into those portfolio reviews is to become a member of our community, which you can do following the link down in the description below. And then we have a portfolio review channel where you can just put your portfolio, and I'll review it once you come up. Currently there's a little bit of a backlog because a lot of people are interested in it. So I think the next month is already fully booked, and maybe partially for the month after that as well. Because I only do them once a month. Yeah, that would be the way to sign up to them. And thanks for checking them out too. Always appreciate that. No worries. Sarah, my favorite time of the week. Let's go. It's medieval time again. Time for some more roofs. I'm just replacing the brackets on these guys, like fixing some of the UV issues that we were having. Let's see, so straighten the UVs and then hotspots. I think we're good. Kinda has weird textures, but Oh, I was gonna put it on the wrong. Did you see some of the Baldur's Gate 3 tile sets posted on our station? They're really cool. Let me make a note of that. Let's have a look at them later then. Because I haven't. I don't go on our station, like, almost at all, so... So that would be an interesting one to check out. Okay, and I'm just gonna place all these guys now. Oh, and I think we're still using a bevel on this one. Yeah. Don't need that. Let's see if we can learn something from Baldur's Gate. I think, let's see. What time are we at now? Let's maybe do that around like 3:30 or something like that. We're gonna have a look at Baldur's Gate then. For the tile sets at least. Let's separate these guys out. Oh. Keep forgetting that I'm still using like an old UV setup here. Does it affect performance or matter whether you use decal system in Unreal compared to exporting decals as you do with meshes? That's a good question. The reason why I do it on like actual meshes is because I just have like way more control over them, right? Rather than having to place them like one by one. Because that would be freaking annoying to do that on like every single modular piece. That's the main reason. Whether it comes to the performance, I'm not sure. I am not sure what the performance difference would be between deferred decals and mesh decals. So, I've got no clue on that one. It's an interesting question though. Like, I think my assumption would be that deferred decals are going to be more expensive because they're actually projecting onto the surfaces, right? So it's actually like a volume that's projecting down. So if you just have one asset, will you do it in Unreal Engine? No. When we're talking about like these things, right? Like these sections, like that would be so tricky to do that in like a deferred decal way inside of the engine that it's probably not worth doing it. And also, like, let's isolate. You brought up a good point. I don't know if I have like the correct material assigned to them yet. Look. Some of them I haven't. Let's see. Assign that to this. So if you want to do all of this as decals, right, inside of Unreal Engine, then you're gonna have to make like a whole bunch of like specific decals that are projected at like specific angles to hit like really specific things, right? So for example, if I just want to make a decal like this, you're gonna make it like really small, really tiny, and then you have to do that on like a whole bunch of locations, right? Which, let's say, for simplicity's sake, let's keep it very simple, right? Like, let's say this entire mesh uses 10 deferred decals. Like, the amount of time that it would take me to like position them like very specifically in the engine, and like tuning the box of the size so that it's like specifically that is being specifically projected on the faces that I want. Plus, you then also have to find a way how to cut them out, right? Where this system is like UV based, where with the decal system, you have to do something with like flipbooks or something like that, right? You have to build in like additional functionality. This is just like way easier to set up. Like 1,000 times easier. The way that I would approach it, the way that I would use deferred decals is when I'm looking for like generic surface breakup. So leakage or like water damage or like rust on like a surface, or you know, like any sort of like bigger material breakup. That's probably the way that I would approach it. Or that's where I would use deferred decals instead. So for example, if we go to one of the buildings, let's have a look. Right? And let's say like on this building, I want to have like a bunch of dirt. Like that's where I would probably use or like a gradient of dirt, right? That's where I would probably use like a deferred decal to just project that on the whole thing rather than like a singular asset. That's what they're good for, right? Because you're just projecting it across like multiple surfaces, and it's a really good way of like tying things together as well. Whereas the mesh decals that I'm using are super good to add details to like a singular asset instead. Probably a better way of looking at it. Scale the sky. Sense, thank you. No worries. Thank you for the question. Always feel free to ask any questions in here. I'll do my best to explain anything. Will be interesting to see what the performance difference is. Like I said, I'm making an assumption when I'm thinking that a deferred decal, right, or like a projected one, is going to be more expensive because of the projection. I don't know. Be wrong. Hey Damian, hey designer. How are you both doing? And also, welcome to the community, designer. Happy to have you with us. Let's have a look here. Let's mark everything as sharp that needs to be sharp. Did you make the trim sheet purely in Substance Designer, or did you go into ZBrush first? No, I did it in Blender. So I sculpted it in Blender, and then did the textures in Substance Painter. Let's see, so we have these three guys. We've yet to do this one. What could also be nice is we have like a little bit. Let's see. Let's just do everything. Just want to add like a little bit of variation in these guys. It's not just the same thing over and over. Just needs to be like a tiny thing. Oh, cool. I keep forgetting that you can sculpt in Blender. Yeah. Do you prefer Blender to sculpt instead of ZBrush? The very simple reason why I prefer to sculpt in Blender is because I don't sculpt much at all. It's free, and I don't have to switch programs. That's why I personally prefer Blender over ZBrush at this point. Because, yeah, like I don't use ZBrush or like sculpting in general. Like I never really used it that much. So to me, like the benefits were always rather small. And yeah, I think to me the biggest benefit is that it is free, obviously. I think if you wanna, this is the thing, like if you wanna sculpt like very intricate stuff or very detailed things, don't even think about doing it in Blender, because ZBrush is still the king at that, right? But like when I'm just talking about like sculpting a little bit and projecting some alphas and all that kind of stuff, like, psh, yeah. I mean, I can easily do that in Blender. Let's see. Sure that the UVs are cleaned up as well. Still has a bevel on it. Not anymore. Oh, I forgot to delete this guy. B is always nice. Have you always used Blender? No. I've been using Blender for the longest time, but only by a little bit though. I used Max, like 3ds Max for 4 years. I used Maya for 4 years, and now I'm using Blender for 5 years. I think it's something around those times. And obviously there was a little bit of overlap between the two whenever I was switching, but so weird. So the hotspot mapping doesn't really keep the texel density. Which do you prefer, Blender? It is pretty simple, right? I'm working in Blender now, so that's the one that I definitely prefer. Most of the programs that I've used, like I kind of had to use because that was what the studio was working in, right? So that makes sense. Let's see. I think that's the correct size for these guys, but let's see. Yeah, but yeah, I'm a big fan of Blender, you know. Again, main part, it's free. It's free, it's powerful. I love all the things that I can do in it, and it makes it feel like effortless. So oh, that's why I didn't apply the scale yet. And it makes like a lot of things feel effortless. Like I've heard UV mapping can be a hassle in Blender, but I don't know if that's true. I mean, I'm using 1 or 2 add-ons, and that's all I needed to make UV mapping useful to me. you gotta take into account that the stuff that I do is very much based on like trims and tidables and all that kind of stuff, right? I'm not looking for like the cleanest of unwraps. But I would honestly say that a lot of the complaints from the UV mapping, in my opinion, are coming from people that haven't gotten to use Blender in the way that you should use Blender. I think a lot of people can't wrap their head around like how UV mapping works in Blender to begin with, and then rather than try to fix it, they rather complain about it. Does it have its issues? Yeah, for sure. But I think people just like fundamentally have an issue transitioning from how it works in another program to how it works in Blender. Where in Blender, a lot of it is seam based, right? Like once you set up like all your seams and then you just press like a button to unwrap it and everything is seam based. Once you get used to that, I find it really powerful. Speaking of sculpting, Andrea, does an environment artist need to know sculpting or maybe just the essential stuff, like making wood look better? An environment artist always is... It's like a catch-all term, right? I don't think as an environment artist, if we're sticking with that term, doesn't need to know sculpting in general. I think you can get away with not having to learn sculpting at all, right? I know a lot of people that are doing props and hard surfacey stuff that is not based on sculpting. Or even if you're making trees, right? You're not necessarily going to use sculpting for that either. I don't think it's necessary. I do think it's a good skill to have like the essential knowledge, like you're saying, right? To make wood look better. That's always like a benefit. But I also feel that that can apply to like a lot of other stuff too. Like, it's also good to kind of know how you should like simulate like a bit of cloth, right? But you're probably not going to use that in like 90% of the cases. But yeah. It is like good to have like all these little bits of knowledge, right? To just add on to your skill set. Could I become a Toxic Avenger by using Blender? Maybe. Give it a try. Hey Brigitte, hey Puns! How are you both doing? Environment art is a broad term. Would you say it's more for someone who is like a 3D generalist to know sculpting? No, I can see. So, for example, I give an example, right? If you are an environment artist that focuses on terrain, right? Obviously, sculpting is going to be like a part of your skill set. Because, well, terrain or a biome artist is what a lot of companies call it, right? Or like a natural artist or whatever companies call it these days. Which basically means that you're going to be taking care of like a lot of the natural stuff, which includes rocks as well, right? So for those positions, you definitely need to have a base in sculpting. But when you just want to storytell, and you're just building locations like a level artist, right? Which falls under the environment art category, like you're never going to use sculpting skills at all. Does that make sense, Andrea? I agree with you that for our tree friend creation, we have plenty of methods and different software. Yeah. That's the thing, right? Like a lot of these skills are going to be coming in handy. It just depends on what position you're looking to fill. Or what you're trying to do in the industry. 20 cents, thank you. No worries, thanks for the question, Andrea. Always appreciate it. Because it is a good question, because the thing is, like, the industry doesn't really make it easy to know something that I preach a lot, right? Is like, find what you want to do first and then like build up a skill set towards that. But the industry doesn't really do a good job of like keeping like consistent terminology between studios to know what you're going to be doing, right? So for example, some companies have an opening for environment artists, right? But what that might mean for one studio might be that you're doing set dressing. But for another company, that might mean that you're going to be doing like terrain building and like setting up the world, right? Also, it kind of depends on the game a little bit as well, right? Because obviously, like a sci-fi game is going to have like different requirements from an environment artist than like a natural based game, for example. Yeah. I can understand that it's quite tricky to figure all this stuff out. Let's see, so we got these 3 done. One's doing well, that's awesome. Brigitte is still a bit sick. I hope you're feeling better real quick, Brigitte. Yeah, like Andrea says, hope you have a speedy recovery. Yeah. McFall is asking, are there entry/junior positions for landscape artists? Yes, but I think most of them will be hidden under the term of environment artist. But there are positions out there like that. I'm pretty sure. For example, a person who joined our team when we were working on Far Cry, as a junior, he ended up doing like most of the terrains of the maps that we worked on. Because he was just really good at it. It wasn't the intent when we hired him, right? Like he did like a bit of world building first, but then quickly developed like a knack for terrain building and biome generation, all that kind of stuff. So there must be companies out there that are looking for that specific role to fill. Let's update these guys. What about texturing? I see that most environment artists make their textures in Designer. So again, like this is where it gets tricky, right? Because some companies employ material artists themselves, which are usually going to be making stuff in Designer, right? So in that case, you as an environment artist would just be using the materials from a material artist. But I think in general, if you're gonna be making terrains for textures for terrains, or anything that has to do with the open world or with environments in general, I would say that a lot of it probably still has to do with Designer. And then more of the unique ones, they're going to be built with Painter. Yeah. This one is good. That one is good. This one is not good. Let's change that up real. Oh, also. Bunch of materials that are no longer in use. Oh, top as well. I have seen it in job postings, but why? But I don't get why some gaming companies post Maya, 3ds Max, and Blender. I mean, I get Maya and 3ds Max, but the thing is, why? What do you mean, why? That they post like everything? it might mean both things, right? Like, it might mean that, like, they're open to anyone, right? That knows Maya, 3ds Max, and Blender. Or it might also mean that you do have to know, like, a little bit of everything because that's how their pipeline is built. It could be both of those things. We could do the modeling in a single piece of software when we talk about commercial work like Maya or 3ds Max. Yeah, but the thing is, with these companies, depending on which company you're talking about, right? They do have like an established workflow that has been going on for like a decade or more, right? Especially if we talk about like the bigger jobs. So I would assume that a lot of these postings, like they have an issue with legacy software, right? Where that's just the way that their pipeline works, and that's the way that you're gonna have to deal with it. I know that I think even Naughty Dog has their game engine like built into Maya for like a significant degree, right? So for those companies, you need to know Maya, right? There's no way around it because the game engine is built into Maya. Let me actually look that up real quick because I want to make sure if that's like a real thing. Oh, this is from like a while back, but yeah. Naughty Dog is using Maya. Have a look here. I mean, it doesn't really say anything about like the thing being directly implemented into it, right? I mean, this is also like a pretty old document. But yep. I've seen other companies where like they're still built large part into like a modeling program, and then they transfer all that data to like their game engine. Jonathan Benenu has a post on material creation from The Last of Us Part 1 if someone wants more insight on how to create materials and environments at Naughty Dog. Yep. If you want to know more about that, just follow him on LinkedIn or Twitter because he does a great job of sharing like material breakdowns like whenever he can. So definitely like a person to follow out there. This is also really cool. I've seen a real trend in the industry where people have become, or like, well, I would say game companies have become like more open in sharing the knowledge that they have. So I was watching like a CD Projekt, like a person working at CD Projekt, an environment artist, sharing a prop yesterday on ArtStation that had like full wireframes and breakdowns and all that stuff. That's, well, full wireframes, I would say, like not breakdowns. Probably didn't go that far, but that was really cool to see. You know, and I'm happy for it. Let's see. These guys are done. So that's 1, 2, and 4. Three assets scratch off the list again. I have heard that they're planning to work on The Last of Us 2 remaster and The Last of Us 3. I don't know how long it's gonna take them to release, but I mean The Last of Us 2 took more than 8 years. I don't think The Last of Us 3 was gonna come out, right? Because they were working on a survival-based game that was set in The Last of Us universe. That was what they were last working on. So I don't think it's necessarily like The Last of Us as you think of it. It's probably gonna be more like a survival game. Well, I think the more of the workflow they give out, the more the people will know how to work with them. Oh yeah, Damian, I 100% agree. Like, I love to see this stuff. It's also, you know, it's kind of weird that I got it at a certain point, right? With like very old school game development. But current day development, like, you can just look at a game and you know what kind of workflow they're using because the workflows have become like more and more standardized, right? Like high to low poly, mid poly workflow, yeah, second UV mask, RGB mask, like all that kind of stuff is pretty much well known by like a lot of companies now. So I don't really know why there's such an insistence on the secrecy for stuff that anyone knows anyway if they're diving into it. I don't know. I feel that it's like an old school remnant, or maybe I just don't know about like the legal implications of something, but I don't know. Like I said, I'm all for it. I want to see more of this stuff because the more transparency that we get, the less confusion there's going to be with like the next generation trying to get into games as well. So yeah, I am all for it. Oh wait, let's keep that as CD Projekt are switching to Unreal Engine as well. Yep, exactly. Which is wrong. Which is something that we'll have to see what's gonna happen. Feel like they had like really good tech on their hands, but you know, I also didn't work with it, so it's always hard to tell from like an outside perspective if it was really worth like keeping onto it. Yeah. Because it might be for two reasons, right? Like it might be for technical limitations, which I don't really think it is, my opinion. I think it might be more for like future-proofing the studio to get like more international talent. Because they now have like a secondary location as well, right? They're like opening like a Canadian studio too. I've never played any of the Naughty Dog games before, but ever since they launched The Last of Us on PS3, I've loved it ever since. Austin and Vancouver. Yeah, yeah. I'm gonna blissfully ignore that we don't know if The Last of Us 3 will come out. I mean, look, it's never say never, right? I think at a certain point, like they are probably gonna capitalize on that. But I think the team probably also just wants to work on something different as well. And also you can only keep using like an IP up until a certain point before like people get tired of it as well, right? So that's something to be like very conscious of too, that you don't wear out an IP and just like basically bury it into the ground. So I'd rather see them like hold off, set up like a new IP, and then do like a Last of Us 3 whenever the other IP is established or something like that, right? That would be something that I would be interested in. But also, yeah, I've never played any Naughty Dog games, so I've got no dog in the race. Do you think CryEngine is underrated? I don't think it's underrated. I think... Oh, man, that's a good question because there's so many factors to that. There's a lot of current day games which are built off of a branch of CryEngine, right? So let's start with that. For example, the engine that Amazon is using, Lumberyard, is also a spin-off from CryEngine. A lot of the engines that Ubisoft is using are also a spin-off from CryEngine. There's probably like a bunch of other companies that have started with CryEngine at some point, but they just turned it into their own thing, right? I think at a certain point, I feel that Crytek might have been like ahead of the game with like their what is it, game engine franchising, right? But right now we're in such a different landscape with like Unreal Engine being like publicly available, Unity being there, that they've held on to their like outdated. I don't know. I haven't really looked into it, but this is like my gut instinct, right? Like they kept on to like an outdated form of how to handle their engine compared to what other companies were doing. And now they're just running behind a little bit. In Crytek, I mean, they might have been doing pretty well now, but they weren't doing so good for like the longest time. So, yeah. It's hard to tell. Underrated? I don't think so. What a lot of companies really got interested into CryEngine is because it had like freaking awesome lighting technology, right? Like their lighting always was ahead of the competition. I don't know if you can say the same now, especially with Lumen being so widely adopted and like so many people like trying to improve it. Don't know. Their stuff still looks good, right? But I don't think it has like the big impact that it once had. Yeah, that's a very interesting question though. I love the Hunt Showdown. I can't wait until they update it to the new engine version. I also have to say that I haven't been keeping up with like any CryEngine developments, right? So I'll be speaking out of term here. I love Crysis games. Yeah, I'm really curious what they're gonna do with the new one. Crysis games were always really good. I think what's going to be really interesting is how they evolve and make it stand out compared to all the competition out there now. Because they got an interesting IP, but they need to make that IP work in like a totally new landscape. And so that's going to be super interesting from my end to see what they do with that. Wouldn't want the quality to go down just because I feel like they have to do this. Oh yeah, this is about The Last of Us 3, right? Yep, I agree. That's also why they made The Last of Us 2, right? Is because they didn't really want to make a new one, but they started discussing it and suddenly like they had a really good idea on how to drive this story into like a new trajectory. And I think if they have like a moment of inspiration like that and it really sticks, then they should capitalize on it. Otherwise, just wait. Obviously, in a landscape that's ever changing, it's always easier said than done, because as a game company, you can't just wait most of the times, right? I think Naughty Dog being Naughty Dog, like, buys you some credits, right? Like, buys you some leeway, but at a certain point, like, you still need to remain profitable as well, right? Especially keeping all your employees employed as well, because that's like a massive amount of overhead. Yeah, I would love to see it. I will watch that on YouTube. I will just watch someone else play it, and I would be happy for it. Crisis 4 is coming soon. I'm so excited about it. Yeah. I'm just interested to see what they're gonna do with it. I'm not really excited for, like, any new games anymore. I'm just excited to see what people are gonna do with it. Like, where they're gonna drive, like, the genre and, like, the industry. To go as well. Tim, is it fine to add another post? Oh, post-processing. Okay, sorry, Andrea. So is it fine to add another post-processing in the same area of an already existing post-processing? Because the scene I'm creating has a quite dark corner, and I thought doing that will lighten up the area. Shit, there is something cool that someone showed me, like, a while back. And let's see. Because you have your post-processing volume, right? But there's also, like, another thing where that is specifically designed for what you're trying to do right now. Let me have a quick look. No, it's all good. Oh, wait, I know where I can find it. Because a buddy of mine used it in, like, this thing. It's gonna be in here somewhere, I think. No, it's not in here. Post-processed materials. Because the thing is, with your post-processing volume, right? Like, you're gonna set them to unbound, right? So what that's gonna do is gonna make the two clash, right? But this thing that I'm currently looking up, that I can't find for some reason, was specifically designed to do the sort of stuff that you're talking about. Blendables, I don't need that. Have a quick look here. Lens, exposure, blah, blah, blah. Was it region? Color correct region. Okay, that's the one. Go. Yeah, so this is the thing that you want to look into. I'm going to share that in the chat as well. That's probably going to be very interesting for you. Because it just allows you to like add specific regions that you want to like tune specifically. I don't know, I haven't used these myself, right? So what can you do? Like temperature type, color grading settings such as gamma, highlights. Yeah, so you should be able to do it with this. And it's just like a region that kind of blends with the rest of it. Don't know if this will help, but I think there's a trick of putting negative values in the light to make dark spots. Yeah, like inverse lighting. I don't think it's gonna help in this case. Yeah. Yeah, this is something that I still have to try myself as well. So many things. I kind of need to set up a project where I can just like play around in for like at least a week, an hour or something like that. Because like the PCG stuff I haven't looked into either, and that looks super interesting. Oh. Beats. So. Right, and then we're gonna combine these two. The bevel. And then make sure that every seam is sharp as well. Okay. Thanks, I'll have a look and see how I can fix it. Yeah, I think these regions should definitely be helpful for that, so good luck. GTA 6 should be interesting. I'm scared of what they might do monetization-wise, though. Oh god, is GTA 6 really interesting? God, it's so boring. I get that they're big games and a lot of people like it, but there's just like literally no appeal to me, like in a GTA game. Like literally the only thing that I might find interesting is if they do like something new with the open world formula, right? But so far, I haven't really seen that much. You know, like what they're doing on the game, like it's impressive by itself, right? But yeah, it's just not a game for me that interests me at all. I think GTA 7 is going to be $70. 7? We haven't even got 6 buns. What are you talking about? Do you think game size will shrink in the future? No. No way. No way. Size is only going to get bigger and bigger. That's always been the case, and that shows no sign of stopping. Well, I need to recharge my headset, apparently. How are we gonna do this? No. Let's see. We'll just have to do it like this then. No headset. Well, understandable. I'm just excited to see what Rockstar has been cooking up all these years. Yeah. I mean, me too. But just from like a dev perspective, right? Like the game itself, like, I don't really care about it. Yeah, but expect them to definitely have something like shark cards back in the game, because that's like a huge moneymaker for them. Massive moneymaker. I think maybe some advanced technology later in the future would reduce the storage size or something. Nah. Not really. What might happen is like incremental changes to like maybe reduce some of the file sizes, right? Maybe there's like new file extensions that are gonna come out, but they're not gonna be able to keep up with like the growth of just media in general, right? Oh shit, can I combine them? It's not good. Let's just do this instead. Grandpa, coach, says, when I work on my projects, I generally stop working on them after some time because I lose interest. How can I avoid that? Work on something that you do like, right? I mean, it sounds pretty straightforward, but that's probably like where you would start, right? And then combine that with making your projects small enough so that you can finish them before you get tired of them, right? Because the thing with a big project especially is that you need to look at it on the long term, but if you don't really have experience with long projects, or if you don't really find the motivation to do long projects, then don't do long projects yet, right? That would probably be the way to go. Like, this is also something that I say to like a lot of people out there, right? In the beginning, especially, I don't know where you are in your artistic journey, right? But like in the beginning, especially, don't try to do big stuff. Do small stuff that you can just work on, learn from, and then do the next thing, and just iterate really quickly. And if you don't like it, cool. Then you haven't spent like 3 months trying to make something work, but you've just spent like a week or two. And if it doesn't work, cool, next thing. And also sometimes, once you've done those things that I just mentioned, right, is pushing yourself through it. Like, I am a big believer in building a habit around my work, right? So I try to do like work like every day, and over time, like, that becomes a habit, and it makes it easier to do the work even when you don't feel like it. Because I can guarantee you that there's days that I don't feel like it, but it doesn't matter, right? Like, those days, what I'll do is I'll do the minimum, which is like half an hour to an hour. And then if I want to do something else, cool. But I still have done some work, not to lose like the habit that I've built up over the years. Weirdly enough, like, this habit kind of turned into literally that, right? Like, it's something that I don't like consciously think about anymore. Like, I just do it like every day. And that's probably like the best advice that I can give, even though it sounds like very what is it, like YouTube coach kind of mentality, right? I swear that I don't have like a course to sell you, but yeah. That's the one thing that really worked for me. Just the consistency of having the habit and then just following up on it. I hope that helped, coach. Sorry, the apples, I missed your question. So I have a question about lighting and post-processing in Unreal Engine 5. My shadows are like too dark and I would light them up a bit. But the indirect lighting doesn't really work as I would like. Any solutions? First of all, eye adaptation. That's gonna be like a big one there. Indirect lighting intensity on your light is gonna play an important role as well. And then just, yeah, post-processing. You know, like tweaking the shadows to be lighter. It's gonna help a lot with that too. It's just a lot of tweaking in your post-processing. Oh, one important thing when it comes to lighting, especially with using Lumen, is that your lighting also is based heavily on the base colors that you're using in your scene. So the darker your base colors are, the less light is going to be reflected from them, which might also play a role within your scene as well. So make sure to check that too. I always lose some motivation in the final stages of every project, big or small, and it's just a case of pushing through it. Yep. I think at a certain point you have to, you know? Because every project that you will ever do is gonna have that weird stage where you're like, oh my god, it looks like shit, or I don't want to work on it anymore, or oh, I'm just not feeling like it. Every project is gonna have that. Ever. I can guarantee that. And the only way to get through it is just by doing it. There's unfortunately no other way, you know? There's so many ways that you can kind of work around it, right? So what I also do, sometimes very consciously and sometimes very like unconscious, is that I try to reward myself once I've done like a full set of work. So when I did like a good day's work, right? Whatever that means, right? It doesn't have to be just hours. It can also just be like, hey, look, I set out to do tasks, did all the tasks. Cool. Job well done. Now I can play some games, or I can chill out, or I can go for a walk, or whatever the reward is, right? Sometimes I'll reward myself with a steak as well. I'll just be like, cool, I'm just gonna get like a cheap steak and let's use that as a reward, you know? Like just some sort of mechanism to treat yourself after you've done something good. Yeah, I'm feeling really awkward without the headset too. Because I can hear my voice like way more loudly than I otherwise can. Like teacher outside of the school. Oh no. Clean this up. Do you remember the process when you created an environment in the past? What do you mean? A fake prop headset. Yep. I should do that. Or just keep it on even if it's recharging, you know? But yeah, I'm not too sure what you mean by that. Funds. Like the process of like me managing my energy mentally, or the workflow on the project. I mean, do you forget things when you made them a long time ago? Not really. I mean, I'm sure that I forget like little things, right? Like how I made So I'll remember like how I made things, but let me clarify. So I'll remember how I made things like in which project, right? Like how I approached like certain like plans in my other project or something like that. But I don't know the specifics of like, I don't know what my layer stack was inside a Substance Painter, for example. But yeah, for all my old work, we have a quick look at it. And then maybe we can have a look at what was it? I wrote it down. Oh, the Baldur's Gate tile sets as well. But let's see. Oh, this is all my new work. So I mean, yeah, like all this old stuff. Let me see. This is like my entry portfolio, right? Like all this old stuff, like I still remember like why I had to do it and how I kind of approached it, and yeah. Yeah, sometimes like programs, like if you ask me to go back to SpeedTree, for example, right? Like I would need like a bit of time to get back up to speed with SpeedTree because it's such a long time since I used it. Same for Max and Maya as well, right? So that's definitely gonna be the case. But yeah, I still remember how I approached all of these. So this was like a 1v1 arena in like school, like in uni. That also got featured on like the Unreal Engine live streams that they did back then. This was like a side project that I was making for like Modularity. This was an ArcViz project for school. This was for school. This was like a project for school as well, where we had to build like a what is it, like a game menu, right? So like it was basically like the backdrop of like a game menu. And this was after school for the grads in games course, which I had like 2 weeks for to make like two like separate environments based on old concepts that they were using for like what's the game called, the one that Unreal Engine was making, Unreal Tournament. So they had like some old concepts that got sent us, or like some old images, and we had to build like something around those things. Oh yeah, here it is. Like even that's still online. So yeah, it was based on this concept. So is it better to have proper documentation to remember them? Not really. I mean, the thing with working on projects is that you're gonna remember like what you did on them because you did it, right? If documentation helps, then yeah, sure, go for it. But I mean, the documentation that quote unquote documentation that I wrote was mostly in articles, right? But I mean, I did that for like the article, right? Like not for myself. Worked on Planet Coaster? Yeah! That was the first game that I ever worked on. It was awesome. For making my portfolio around an environment artist, should I use market assets or should I model my own models? The most important things of your environment should consist of models you make yourself, and then you can dress it up with market assets if you want to. Oh yeah, we were gonna look at the tile sets, right? Like a Baldur's Gate drop or something like that. Keep all the creatures, blah blah blah, I don't care. Environment art is live here. Yeah, feel free to drop me some links in the Discord as well. Okay, here we go. This is definitely... Oh, you'll probably have to send it in... You'll have to send it in Discord, McFell. Just DM me. Stuff is cool. You got the 45-degree corners. Oh my... So annoying to make. Oh, Sarah, I know. Jesus. Jesus. Don't have to shout at me. We're just gonna do this. Let's see. McFall is also sending some links as well. Tim Williamson. Let's see, so these ones. The pop. Yeah, this stuff is pretty cool. It's pretty cool. It's just obviously for a game like this, right? You're not gonna have like all the first person details that you probably want to see because the game isn't built around that. Still cool to see though. Like, it's always nice to have like breakdowns of things, right? Where you can actually look at things and see how they're constructed. Did you play Baldur's Gate? No, I didn't. It's probably on my long list of things. It's pretty far down because it's not my genre of game. So, might play it at a certain point, but who knows when. Trims, and they have like some alpha sections on the trim as well. It's cool to see. Don't worry about the spam, McFall. Thanks for sending these over. That's awesome. Stuff is very cool. I like this. Let's see. Because I think, I mean, it's also the style of the environment, right? But like, this stuff feels more organic than some of the other stuff. Which is always a tricky thing with a modular kit, right? You don't want to make it feel like a modular kit. Whereas some of these buildings, like, let me see, what was like a good example? This looks really awesome, right? But it still feels modular. Like, you can feel the modularity in this. which is always the trickiest thing, right? It's something that we talked about in our community chat as well, that it's really difficult to get away from this sort of look, because like if you really want to elevate this to the next level, then you kind of need to make like things sag, right? So what I mean by that is that you have like the roof here, like if you have that kind of like a drooping thing going on, right? Same thing for these guys. You probably want to have like some stuff happening with the roofs where it doesn't feel like it's just like straight planks. But the thing with that is that once you start doing that, then you really kill like the modular feel, right? Um, Set dressing would definitely help a lot. I think if you were to look at this in game, it will probably look like way better as well because of the set dressing on top of it, right? But that's the real difficulty with like a modular kit. So usually, like Mifal was saying, like you just set dress on top of this, right, to make it feel more unique and like kind of hide the underneath, like the bones, right, like the modular bones underneath it. It's really hard to do that with just modular pieces, which is also something that I'm running into, right? Everyone always runs into this whenever they're making something modular. And there's no good way around it without having to make like exponentially more assets, right? Because what you could do is, let's say you have like a roof section, right? So let's say this is a roof section. Cool. This roof section is reused here. You could have this one with like a different kind of curve as this one, right? But then if you're going to use like the same one here, then you're going to notice a repetition here. So then you need like 4 variation pieces at least for a building like this. And then it quickly becomes like, okay, like if we want to do that across like every single modular piece that you have, then it becomes like very difficult, right? Plus, the curve is never going to align, like it's never going to be like a continuous thing unless you cut it up into like 2 pieces, right? If you make this like a singular piece. But that brings a whole bunch of other issues, right? Because now the people that are using the kit need to know that sometimes they can switch them out for like a 4-meter section instead of like a 2-meter section. And it just, a modular kit can really cause like exponential issues whenever you want to add like, for example, this is why I was surprised by seeing like the 45-degree corner, right, that they have here. Because if you want to do that properly, that means that you're adding like a new set. It's not just like a piece that's already existent and then scaling it, right? Because then you're gonna have issues as well. Because you can do that with a straight piece, yeah, but you still need a roof, right? And if you have like a straight piece of roof, you can't scale that down because then you would have overlap, right? Like the roof would be sticking out here. So you would need to have like all the roof pieces that like support that one little decision that you made because you wanted to have like a 45-degree corner in it, right? So you can see that it quickly becomes like this exponential thing of like, okay, but what if I want like, this is like a 1 meter, right? What if I want like a 2 meter, like 45-degree corner? Yeah, I can put like 2 next to each other, but then we're introducing repetition. So shouldn't I just have like a 2-meter one? Oh, cool. What if I want like a 3-meter one? I can build that. What about a 4-meter one? I could combine that too, but maybe that looks too repetitive if all the buildings are going to use it. Like, so many, I bet you that like any modular kit in the game has undergone like such tremendous amount of discussion because of these issues. It'll be crazy. You can do it procedurally and automate most of the things, but like the actual creation of the little pieces, you say that, but I haven't seen a lot of companies that have done it successfully without making it feel less procedural. Right? Like procedurality and automation, well, procedurality come with their own set of issues, right? where like something that's procedurally created usually feels like it is procedurally created, right? You can definitely like keep reusing things, right? So for example, what I'm doing here as well is whenever I need a bracket, I'm not going to recreate a bracket. I'm just going to reuse a bracket that I already have because it would be a waste of time, right? There's obviously always clever solutions to these things, but it's not a complete solution because usually those solutions, they come with their own set of issues that are like unique to that solution. So, yeah. I think maybe they want to release the game really fast to make something unique. It will take a lot of time, don't you think? Oh, yeah. No. I'm agreeing with what they did, right? I'm just breaking down like all the steps of like a modular kit and like how intricately something. Oh, yeah, I know the one you're talking about. They did look great, but that's also like a person who has like intricate knowledge of like both Houdini and like the coding language within it, right? Forgot her name, but I know the one that you're talking about. Um, it looks awesome, yeah, but you're still gonna have to have the discussion about like all the edge cases, which, again, right, like you're running into like the procedural trap of like at a certain point, let's say a texture that you could have done in like a couple of hours with ZBrush and then doing it in Substance Designer. You can also do that in Substance Designer completely, right? And have it fully procedural. But you're gonna have to decide like where the best time investment is gonna be. I'm not saying that maybe they even have like procedural tools, right? Like they do have like procedural, well, not procedural, like the way that they play stuff like really adds a lot to like how it feels, right? Because you can dynamically swap things in and out, which is also like its own way of adding like visual interest to the whole kit. But yeah, there's definitely options, right? It's, again, every option can just comes with its own consequences again. But yeah, puns, like I was saying, if they wanted to make this all unique, it would have been impossible, right? So making something modular is definitely the good way to go about it, for sure. Um, Again, just highlighting that every choice, again, has its restrictions, right? McFall is also saying, I heard a talk from someone at CDPR about how they did modular shop fronts and how early in the project they decided on scale. Yeah. Like, it's gonna be super important. Because I can bet you that 100% like artists came in and they were like, look, but I wanna know more. Like I wanna do more and I wanna do more unique things and I wanna do this and that. But yeah, timelines, you know? Timelines usually don't allow for that stuff. And shouldn't, by the way. They shouldn't allow for that stuff to a certain degree either. And also the thing is with certain styles, right? For example, this building, like the greenhouses that are made out of like iron beams and all that stuff. Like it works for something like this, right? Because you wouldn't necessarily expect the same sort of like organicness that you would have with like a wooden building either, right? So for some things, like modularity is just like the perfect thing, but for other things, you're kind of missing out on something. See, this stuff is all really cool. Once the set dressing starts coming in, you know, like a lot of this will get like massaged into it too. Because yeah, it's still modular by design, right? But once you start doing set dressing, you can hide and like masquerade a lot of the modular feeling of these things. That looks cool though. I like it. Grandpa is also asking, I want to learn about environment art. Could you recommend me some guides or courses to learn from? Depends on where you're starting. I would probably start out by going to our website and maybe reading about like the different disciplines that are in environment art. I think that might be like a good way to start. Oh, I forgot that we're still working on those. Let me send you the link anyway though. Well, at this one here, I would say start there, grandpa. Like just looking at like all the different specializations, looking at what the available options are, and then kind of experimenting. You know, like try to get into Blender for modeling and just get used to the program, and then build your way up when it comes to that. When it comes to specific courses, I've heard a lot of good stuff about like Tiago Klavska's course. I think it's on. Let's see. Still online? Heard a lot of good stuff about this one. That could be an interesting one. Kind of takes you through like the whole idea. It is more stylized, right? Because the person that's doing it definitely has like more of a stylized feel to it. That could be a good one to start. All right. Enough modular talking. Back to some assets. What would you suggest to retopo of a sculpted rock? What would you suggest to retopo a sculpted rock? Just to simplify retopo by hand or something like Zero Measure? So you don't really need to do like any manual retopo when it comes to rocks, because the reason why you most of the time want to do retopo by hand and make like really clean geometry is because animation is gonna need it, right? So in this case, you can get away with something that's a bit more basic. You know, you don't have to do any manual retopo for like a rock. Something like Zero Measure, or you know, you could even use let's see. You could even use just like a decimated version. That could definitely work as well. Why are you selecting everything? Oh, because I didn't. How do you blend the edges of the normal map with a cap segment of the wooden beams when they are designed to tile? So all these beams and all these caps, they kind of have like a normal map built into it, which is based on a technique from the ultimate what's it called again? The ultimate trim technique, I think. Shit, I forgot the name. The ultimate trim. So it's based on this, where basically you bake in 45-degree corners in your normal map so that you have like transitions between sides and bottoms as well. Also, Piotr Krinsky made a great breakdown tutorial for his industrial scene on ArtStation. You could check that out too. Oh, is that for people that want to get into environment art, Damian? And then yeah, the tops, I then also do this little trick, right? Where I basically have like broken wood that like transitions into the top, kind of helps blend the whole thing. I tend to do that a lot on my pieces as well. Look. Okay. So this guy is done as well. Go back to the list. Small corner. So the corner is done. Corner is done, and then we just need to do like the small end of it. This guy. Not listening to the music all that much. Oh. Let me look that up as well. Piotr Krinsky. 1 pixel brush. Yeah, of course it's gonna be good. Oh yeah, yeah. Seen this. Crazy. This is definitely if we're talking about this sort of stuff, especially for grandpa, right, who was asking the question, I would not look at this to become like a games environment artist, right? Because this is not what we do. But if you want to make your own environmental concept, like and actually design stuff yourself, this is by the way more aligned to what concept artists do in the industry. Still really cool, right? I just want to make it clear that like this is not the normal job of an environment artist. Awesome though. I need to check this out. Bevel. Bom bom. I love that there's some people out there that are making these crazy things that are like just more about like the overall view rather than all the details. So cool to see. And sometimes I'm really jealous about like the shortcuts that they can take compared to game art. Game art can be so convoluted sometimes. Let's see. Right. Okay. That was a quick one. Scratch that from the list. We're gonna see if headphones work again. Because it is kind of weird without them. Let's hope that they last for the entire stream then. Okay. These roofs are done. We've got attached roofs as well. I might do the wooden roofs first because they're probably going to be done. They're probably going to be done quicker. Gamer Tim is back. Let's go. Okay. So, wooden roofs first. I think if they're the same dimension. Let's see. We might honestly be able to just use the same kind of support structure. Hopefully making this like a relatively quick thing. Because then we can just select roof tiles, get rid of all of them. Oh. Some UVs got screwed. Curve is a little bit different. The rest of these are fine, I guess? Yeah. Don't like... It's probably a stupid question, but does age impact hireability when applying for an entry level? No. Nope. I've seen both people way younger and way older than me get into entry level positions. The only thing that matters is whether you have a good portfolio, if you're a nice person, and yeah, you're not an asshole, you know? Don't be a dick. Don't be a dick and make good work. What it comes down to. Hey, Henrik! Welcome to the chat, buddy. Yeah, we it's actually interesting because the reason why Beyond Extend, like the actual Discord server, got started was because I was looking to do a mentorship. And my first mentorship was actually someone who was also way older than I was, and they were trying to get into the industry as well. And we ended up hiring them. So, yeah, just as an example. An example that it doesn't matter. Oh my god. And it's sculpted with what brushes? Oh my god, the brushes question. No, they're back. How have you done your trim sheet? Sculpted or textured? Yeah, sculpted in Blender. With a couple of alphas, like wood alphas, and then just sculpted it up with, I don't even know the name of the brushes. Because I didn't do it in ZBrush, right? I did it in Blender. And I haven't used sculpting since. So honestly, have no clue what the brushes were called. It's basically just the equivalent of trim adaptive and trim dynamic, right? Just to make like some flat surfaces. That's basically it. And smooth as well. I use smooth quite a lot. Issue that I'm creating now is that it's not going to tile. It's not going to stack up quickly. Is an issue. If I may ask, for sure, yeah, you can ask anything that you want. What age did you get into the industry? That's a good question. 24? Yeah, I think around 24. I always have to think about it because, first of all, I keep forgetting how old I am. Second of all, I'm shit at keeping track of when I stopped uni. So that's why I always have to think about the question. Okay, so this should be good. Right. Oh my god, that looks horrendous. We will definitely have to solve that one. Same thing with this guy. Do it better. Doesn't have to be perfect. But yeah, to come back to the sculpting of the trim sheet, like a lot of it was helped by those alphas though. Like to really get like a solid base and like all the wood knots and like all the end bits, that was all just like projected from an alpha, right? And then I just tweaked like a whole bunch of things, just like massaging it, making the edges. Yeah, just basically cleaning it up a little bit afterwards. Is export for Unreal Engine plugin special, or can we buy it somewhere? No, it's free actually. Let me link it. Let me link it. So, with the chat. Here you go. No problem. What we're gonna do, just gonna duplicate this stuff over. And remove all the stuff that I don't need. So, roof tiles go as well. Just gonna cut all this stuff off. Make sure that all these guys are lined. Okay. So just gonna do the same thing with these guys too. Let's see if it works. Hot spotting. No. Of course not. Why would it? I've by the way figured out why it's not doing it. It's because the area sometimes between the mesh, so let's say I have a mesh like this, it corresponds too much with like a section that I have up here. So it maps it here because that's how a hotspot, like a hotspot texture, is meant to work. So, yeah. At least we know that now. Let me ask. Yes, you can ask anything. Anything and everything. What's the opportunities as an environment artist in Germany? There's a lot of them. No, I'm not German though, but I do live in Berlin, so I do live in Germany. But I'm from Belgium originally. There's quite a lot of opportunities here. Oh shit. Yeah, they have like a couple of Ubisoft studios, like a couple of big ones. There's a lot of like medium-sized companies as well. So I think we do have like a lot of opportunities. We pretending that I am like a full-blown like German citizen. I only live here though. So you speak French. So, okay, Belgium is divided in two separate parts, where one side speaks Dutch or Flemish, like that's like a dialect of Dutch, and the other part speaks Walloon, which is like a dialect from French. So, even though we're technically bilingual, right, where I have to speak both Dutch and French, like my Dutch is just way better than my French has ever been because I was born in the Flemish part of Belgium. But, I mean, that's what we're good at. We're really good at making things too confusing for anyone to understand. So I don't blame you at all. Because, well, if we're really technical about it, like Brussels is like a separate part by itself. Because it's supposed to be both at the same time because it's the capital. But yeah, no one has ever really made a good decision on that. Like they're still debating. They're still debating that to this day, but you know, who cares? Does Belgium exist? I've heard otherwise. What you mean? Does Belgium exist? What you mean? Orta here was in Belgium 4 years ago, so yeah, of course it exists. Yes. I wanted to buy a water, so I entered the store. Then I asked some French guy where I can find water in the store, but he refused to answer me in English. Eventually, I pushed him and he told me. Yeah, they're very specific with the language that you should be talking. Oh wait, it's Finland that doesn't exist. Oh, okay. Yeah, then you're good. Then you're good. Just still good. Timwin asked if he speaks French. No, you? Well, you're the one who always keeps talking about like the how bad Frenchies are and like how everyone is just infested with bed bugs and all that stuff. So I mean, come on. I'm learning this from you, Sarah. What are you doing to me? Oh, no. Oh, that's an easy fix, though. Yeah, but it's such a small country, and we still may love to make our own lives different, you know? We're also like a record-breaking country, like twice in a row. Because we couldn't form like a government, so we technically have the world record of of being a country without a proper government. And the last country that held that record was also Belgium. So yeah, we're pretty good at breaking our own record of not having a government. Without the French, how would we ever get croissant? Exactly. And baguettes? Oh. Should make a brewery in a medieval village. That could be a good idea. Maybe for like an expansion, you know? Have you played the Sniper Elite games? No. I barely play any games. And the games that I play, I kind of play deliberately. So I just got really into World of Warcraft. So yeah, I'm playing that for a long time now. That's probably going to keep me busy for a while. Doesn't it always rain as well? Nah, I think it kind of has the same weather as the UK, but I think the UK, like people in the UK just like to moan about it more than we do. Because I mean, we're literally on opposite ends of the ocean, right? Or like the ocean. The channel. It's not even an ocean. Okay, so let's go. Yay. No. Channel. Curvature. Hey, yo. Same thing on this guy. Are you playing on regular days or on the weekend? So, I'm gonna be playing this weekend because it's honestly been a while since I really have taken up like I've really taken like any free days. So I think me and my girlfriend are just gonna have like a WoW day, like on Saturday, I think. But yeah, I do also play in the week. Usually like an hour before I go to bed or something. These guys. Done. There are some UV issues though with some of the tiles, so maybe so it's annoying. I don't really want to, but we should. We really should. Yeah, what is everyone else playing? Because Andrea is currently playing Warframe. I tried to get into Warframe, I just couldn't. Because it always looked like really interesting, but I think with most games, and probably the same applies to WoW as well, like there's like a steep learning curve now. Because these games have been around for such a long time. But I remember starting Warframe and then just getting thrown into some stuff, and I was like, wait, what? Like, I don't even know what I'm supposed to be doing. Oh! What happened with these tiles? They move. I moved them by accident. Restless night when you play World of Warcraft? Yeah. It's just a nice chill game. It kind of brings me back to my roots as well because I've always been like a big MMO player. Played way too many back in the day. Diablos is asking, did you ever play Escape from Tarkov? No, it's not a game for me. Like a game that keeps resetting like every couple of months or whatever. Yeah, no, not for me. A friend of mine is really crazy about it though. Like he plays it every reset and he loves it. It's just, I like a game. This is the thing, right? Like maybe I'm just too work focused in that like my work kind of bleeds into my games. But if I feel like I'm losing progress whenever I'm doing something, I will not play the game. So yeah, single player games. The Cyberpunk expansion was awesome. Loved that game. Yeah, what else? Oh, got into. So I'm sometimes playing Guild Wars 1 with a friend of mine, right? With one of the community builders from Beyond Extent as well. Playing Guild Wars 1, just getting back into it. Made a new character, starting it from scratch. Even though like I've done everything in the game, really, right? I was kind of like hardcore grinding when that came out. It's still fun to get back into it. It's more nostalgia at that point. Let's see. So what are we doing here? Because some of these guys are screwed up. Yeah. Oh. In finishing the Cyberpunk expansion. Yeah, the Cyberpunk expansion was really good. I spent a whole lot of time trying to get like different story endings and all that kind of stuff. I'm not gonna spoil anything. There was like a bit of personal disappointment for me, but like in a way that it's very stereotypical of the Cyberpunk game. I'm not gonna say anything else. And here. Some of these are just mapped to like random things. Oh, it's because they are work in progress. Most people don't like it because it's too hardcore. No, I can deal with the hardcore stuff. Like, I mean, it's not a real comparison, right? But there were some games that were pretty hardcore when I was playing them. Like when we're talking about Crytek, Crysis 2 multiplayer was really hardcore as well. And I was trying to climb the ladder of like best player worldwide in that game. So I could deal with a little bit of hardcore. Maybe not now, but like definitely when I was playing a lot of more games. I think the more that I'm looking at these tiles and the more that I'm seeing these issues, what we might have to do is maybe redo them. It'd be such a hassle though. I really want to play the new City Skylines, but it's not great currently. You can still play the old one, right? Multiplayer games with friends. I remember buying the Cyberpunk game on pre-order, but I didn't install it. I remember people asking for refunds back then. I played it on launch on PC, and it's probably the best game that I've ever played. I mean, not ever, but like, let's say it's probably my favorite game in the last decade. For sure. It's such a good game. TFT? Team Fortress 2? Is that the one? Or... was fine for me on launch as well. Got 200 hours in Cyberpunk. Yeah, I think I got somewhere around those hours too, I think. I would recommend if like single player games are your thing and you like something really story driven, I think like Cyberpunk is so good. Oh, Teamfight Tactics. Okay. Yeah, I don't know about that game. The graphics in the environment look so stunning. Yeah, it's so good. The storytelling as well. I love it so much. We could just map it to like random selections here. But I think... So maybe we do need to update the wooden ones though. The wood roofs. It's gonna be a little bit of a pain, but if you want to drive the quality, we'll need to do it. Need to do it. Mario, I need to play it. Yeah, do it. Do it. Do it. Andrea tried Prey since it was free on Epic some months ago, and I sucked at it and decided to uninstall it. I can feel that. Like, I know that a lot of people praise Prey. I just couldn't get into it, and I uninstalled it like a couple of hours into. I don't know. Not my thing. It's beautifully built, well designed, but it's just not my thing. Yeah, so what are we gonna do with this then? Is my modifier? Yeah. So. That means that we're gonna place it with planks. Geometry nodes. Nope. Been a while since I had a look at this. Let's see. We do like anything to the UVs? Alright. The points, align the normals, pick an instance from the collection. It's on points, set the position. Okay. Oh, I think that might just be like a shader thing then. Can all go. Oh yeah, here we go. I'm gonna set that to UV map instead. I think I might have to duplicate it if I want it to show up. Let's just plop that in. Now, kind of seeing the UVs. They're screwed up. Right. Oh no, they might be right. They're just weird looking. Station. So now we have this. I think what we need to do is just clean up like the original things that are being scattered. because... Oh, I still subdivide it? Yeah, thought so. Now we can make like easy roofs like that, but I need to go to my original scatter collection. Roof 2. And UV these guys properly. Because this is where it begins. Oh no, Andrea has a difficult question to ask you in chat. Setup. Go for it, Andrea. We're ready. What Assassin's Creed has the best environment? That is a good question. Especially for a person who hasn't really played like any of the old school ones. Design-wise, layout, style, etc. This is an interesting one, right? Because I feel like Valhalla probably did the best with lighting. Like it does such a good job at lighting in general. Like it blows all the other games out of the water, I feel. But and a lot of the open world is beautifully crafted as well. But I think what really... There's just too much of it, right? And I feel like it's also pretty samey. Whereas the other games probably do like a better job of adding variation into the mix. Yeah, what is everyone else thinking? It's a difficult one. Because you would kind of need to break it down by like the individual aspects, right? At least that's the way that I'm looking at it. And also, I haven't played the last one. Apparently that one is really good as well. And I mean really good in terms of environments, right? Because I like the premise that they're going back to like something smaller. Black Flag was beautiful, but was mostly water. Yeah. Yeah, who would have thought that one, huh? What are we doing here? Maybe do a cut here? What I might do... just project it from... down? Yeah, I don't know. I feel like Assassin's Creed does like a really good job in like all its environments. I feel like the most memorable in terms of like... yeah, just the environments to walk around in. Probably took the most screenshots in Valhalla. Because it was such a beautifully crafted like space. Even compared with the other ones. Let's see. Because I have taken a lot of screenshots from all the games, I think. Ooh. Where did I drop them? Like, yeah. Origins is really pretty as well. So beautiful. I mean, look at that. That's spectacular, isn't it? So awesome. What is your winner, Andrea? Because I feel you're setting us up with a trap and then you're just running away. What are you doing? Trap questions. Oh yeah, the Ubisoft team did a good job on that one. I didn't work on that, by the way. Just want to be clear. I had no contribution in that one whatsoever. I like to create chaos. So evil. Do this instead. Do you have a favorite piece of artwork you've done? I think the one that I'm currently working on is probably like the most favorite one. Like my favorite piece that I've worked on with, let's see. Final. Which probably this one being my favorite one. It technically doesn't qualify, right? Because it's not done yet. But this is probably just my favorite one in terms of like the colors and the mood and the setting. This is probably my favorite one up until this point. Even though there's other ones, right? That kind of have like the same sort of feel. But just in terms of the colors, I think I would prefer to go with this one. Right, and I tried to do like some quick editing on top of it, but yeah, the current project must probably be like my favorite one that I've done. What's your favorite game aesthetic-wise? Aesthetic-wise? I think it must be Cyberpunk, I think. I think just mood and aesthetic-wise and what they tried to do with the world was just like really impressive, you know? So that must probably be like my favorite one. Okay, what I'm gonna do first is I'm gonna disable all of these guys in hopes that editing goes a little bit quicker. Thanks, Mario. Probably Cyberpunk or Red Dead 2 for me. They're kind of polar opposites though. Yeah, but that's the cool thing, right? So I don't think it's actually about like at least to me. Well, how would I explain this? Like Because I feel like I'm trying to be like very conscious of like biases, right? Or like, because it's more about the whole experience, right? Like Cyberpunk did a really good thing with the whole experience by itself. And I'm trying to strip away the world from it, but that's really hard to do if it's part of a bigger piece, right? So I am a big fan of Cyberpunk, right? In general. Like I like how moody and how oftentimes overly pessimistic, but in an attempt to outshine like the human experiences in it, if that makes sense. Like I think like Cyberpunk is really good in that, where you have these like overwhelming odds about like the city fighting against you and like all that kind of stuff, but eventually it all boils down to like very human experiences, right? And just connecting with people and just having like good relations with people. That's what I really like about like the genre in general, right? Yeah, the lighting is also really good. It also helps that they're like the poster child of like RTX and like Nvidia at this point, you know, because yeah, that definitely helps a lot in boosting the visuals of the game. Let's see, and anything else? There we go. That's a little bit quicker. Just gonna like... Oh, I'm gonna be... This is something that might be interesting to people that are listening. I want to be very transparent here. This is very hacky. This is probably like the hackiest thing that I'm doing. And I want you to know that that's fine. Maybe sounds weird, but the reason why I'm saying it in such a way is because people are oftentimes too concerned with making it 100% like production ready without doing any experimentation and like thinking outside of the box. Sometimes doing weird shit and not being 100% secure is fine. No, just wanted to bring that up casually. Just wanted you to know, you know? Where am I mapping this to? Because so like my overall thinking process with like the approach that I have to all the roofs in my level, right? Is that I am trying to build individual pieces out of pieces of a tileable, so that if I want to optimize it at a later point, I can just remove all the geometry and replace it with the tileable itself. That's my thought process, right? I haven't ever actually done any testing. That would be maybe a good one to look into, but here we are. It's not that. Testing is done by the player after release. Exactly. I've got the live service mindset on, you know? There's like some weird roughness happening, but I think I just pulled in like the wrong texture for it, I think. Yeah. Oh. That's actually a good point. Does it still match? Because we got base color, we got AO. That's cool. They told us it was all smoke and mirrors, so if it looks good and doesn't break anything, it's legit. I mean, To a certain degree, I would agree with that. But yeah, there's also like the legitimate performance angle there too, right? Obviously. Let's see. I'm pointing to the same. Oh, but that isn't updated. Okay, I'm just gonna be lazy. I'm just gonna delete all this. I don't really care about like previewing AO anyway. All this stuff can stay. Yeah, this stuff needs to be updated though. You know, screw it. Don't need roughness either. Screw it. There we go. Nah, but like a lot of it is just like sometimes we get like overly concerned with this stuff, right? No, there's no good reason to do it. Just experiment a little bit, you know? If it doesn't work, then you can take that to the next project as well. No harm done. Okay, so let's swap it around, right? Like, what is the game that you're looking forward to purely based on the aesthetics? Like, not even gameplay or no other interests. Like, what's the game that you're looking forward to purely based on the aesthetics of it? Let me just use your template, Andrea, and like flip it back onto the chat. Where we're putting this guy? Over here? Maybe we make it like Chunky Boy? Bonk. No, that's illegal. Oh, I just did it anyway. Because I'm thinking about it too, and I think probably the thing that comes closest is probably Marathon. And this is just purely based on that one sneaky trailer they put out, right? It doesn't really show anything, and it's an extraction shooter, so I probably don't care about that at all, you know? Yeah. Oh, Cyberpunk sequel. You're already waiting for that one. You're gonna be, yeah. Oh well, technically I didn't say that, right? You're excited about it. So yeah. I can see that. Count me in as well. Like I'm really. Oh, I'm really excited about it, but then my realistic brain kicks in, or like my game dev brain kicks in, and I'm like, I've heard like a lot of people struggling with Lumen and performance specifically. And I'm like, oh no, that's like the core foundation of what makes Cyberpunk looks good. And I'm just, already sweating, you know? I'm not gonna think about it. I'm just gonna pretend that everything's fine. You know, nothing's gonna go wrong. Please. I have to say Greedfall. Love the aesthetic of the first game and excited to see the next one. Greedfall. Don't think I've heard about that one. Really like the look of Homeworld 3. You just gotta believe or sleep until release. Or maybe sleep until like a year after release or something like that, you know? Homeworld 3, I've seen a lot of that stuff, and that looks really cool. I gotta agree with that. But Greedfall? What is that? Have a look. The Avatar game looks incredible visually. Yeah. It does look good. I don't know if it looks incredible. Like, I had a look at the game and I wasn't blown away. You know what I mean? Like, the foliage density is interesting. But it didn't really strike me as like blowing me away, you know? I haven't heard about this game at all, Greedfall. I mean, these images are not doing it justice because it's just the same image over and over. Looks cool. Oh. Buildings in progress. I like that. Such an environment nerd. Oh my god. I'm like, oh, there's a building being built. I love it. Oh, that's a cool shot. That's cool. I haven't heard about this at all. Oh, Star Citizen also looks great. But very likely it will never be truly playable. I think it will. I'm not one of those... I mean, it is playable now, right? And I think it will be like very stable at some point. It just isn't now because the way that they approach their development is, oh my god, so obnoxious, right? When you really start thinking about it, that you're going to be doing live updates to a game that is live to people. But like, not in a way where like the foundations of the game are already built, right? Like the game's foundations are still being worked on. Whereas like with a live service game, the game's foundations are already done. So the only thing that you're adding is like new content, right? Or like you're tweaking stuff. That's not the case with Star Citizen. But their tech, like if you look at the CitizenCon stuff, look really impressive though. So yeah, I'll give them the benefit of the doubt. It was a beautiful game to be in. Yeah, it looks like it. It has a lot of cool shots. Yeah. Yeah, like the Avatar game, I'm curious what it's gonna be. But... I don't know. I'll need to see what they do. I'll need to see what they do with it. It actually is kind of nice to just like be able to discuss a game without thinking about like any sort of internal things, you know? Because I have no context, no clue. It's kind of nice. I'm back in the gamer seat. Maybe it's not so much a brag as I think it is. Oh, this looks like a match. At least they stopped doing release dates for the game and delaying them. Maybe I'm too cynical. Yeah, I try to stay away from like all the cynical stuff. There's a lot of stuff around there, you know. I'm cautious, you know. I'm probably like way more cautious that I'm trying to be cynical. Again, I'm just really curious what Avatar is gonna do when it comes to their open world mechanics, you know? I'm really curious to see what they're gonna do with that. Yeah, I'm trying to think about other ones. Oh, I'll say another one. It's kind of cheating because it's not an upcoming game, but like Anthem. Anthem looked really cool whenever they did like that first release trailer where you opened up in the market. And I was just like, oh my god, this looks so good. Sign me up. Oh, Miguel, that's a good point. Yeah, I did too. I think I did too. Like buying it for the visuals and to see what they did with like the open world genre. And the soda they had was nice, even though I didn't play the game for too long. It was still nice to see what they did with it. Hi Timothy, thanks for the feedback on the Balloon Village the other day. So much stuff to improve, I can't wait. Hell yeah! No worries, Daniel, happy to help. Okay, let's see. I think... Oh yeah, Hogsmeade was really fun. Like Hogsmeade was really well designed and like had so much charm to it. Yeah, I totally agree. I mean, I also didn't play like a lot of the game, right? So I don't even know if there's like another town that's like worth exploring like later on or something like that. But Hogsmeade was really interesting. 100%. Hogwarts was an interesting one. Because I felt that Hogwarts was like too intricate for its own good. Like I felt it was too complex of a location to really make it shine on its own merit. Because a thing that I love to do is I love to walk around in these locations and I'm trying to find my own way through those locations, right? But it was really difficult to do that in Hogwarts. Maybe, first of all, I'm not a Harry Potter fan, right? So maybe there's some context there that I'm missing. But it just felt like a really confusing location. Even though, like, it almost suffered from, like, its own complexity. Because the complexity by itself was beautifully done, and, like, how everything, like, interwove and, like connected to each other. That was beautiful. Just by itself, if you were to isolate it. But there was just too much complexity, for me at least. Did you guys suffer from the same thing? Yeah, so I enjoyed that it was completely open, no closed off areas or missing areas, but it's confusing to navigate. Yeah. Okay. Bing. Oh, this needs to go down as well. Did I literally do the same? Oh. Okay. Save it first. Let's have a look. So we're getting like a little bit more variation in the size of the tiles as well. Maybe the middle of the tile? Yeah, let's just keep that. Still happening, but I don't think I mind it that much. And maybe a scale of 2. Let's copy those modifiers. I think the size of the roof tiles was actually pretty good, wasn't it? Let's test it out. Kinda sense. Let's see. Please let me fly in hog's meat. Valheim was really cool. That's also a game that I really wanted to play, but I just never got into it. Because to me, Valheim seems to be like a multiplayer thing, and I don't have any friends. Nah, I'm just kidding. I think with those kind of games, what sometimes bothers me is that once I start playing it, I kind of have this additional pressure that I need to keep up with my friends because they're probably going to play the game more than me. So that's why I kind of refrain from playing the game at all. So oof. Funny enough, Ubisoft was a part of Mythic Quest. Yep. Yeah, I know. So I watched one episode, but it's on Apple Plus, right? Or whatever the streaming service is called. And yeah. Oh, it's developed in the city I study, so I'm kind of biased. Oh shit. Sponsored. Hashtag sponsored. Hashtag affiliate. Hashtag Valheim is the best. What's the size here? Oh, they're actually pretty big, actually. What size are these? So we're going a little bit smaller. I think that's good. Still so happy that I made these. Align with normals. That's all good. I think we're all good. Does that still match like the curve here? The best part of it was free for 3 months. Oh shit, I missed that. Is that still ongoing? Because otherwise, yeah, that would be interesting to check out. I just don't want to get like another streaming service, you know? If I can't like back out immediately. I'm just so done. Yes! Andrea, yes! I'm just so done with all this stuff. I think we only recently got Netflix back. I think. And then occasionally we'll get like 1 month of like Disney Plus whenever like a new season of The Mandalorian comes out, but we don't have to bother with that because the last couple of seasons were kind of terrible. So, yep. Thanks Disney, saving me money. Appreciate that. Like the last season, I would say. The last season was just, eh. Okay, I wonder if people have the same pet peeve as mine. I have this pet peeve, like whenever there's a show that's doing really well and it's getting traction, that for whatever reason they feel the need to add more famous actors into the show for no good reason, instead of going with the actors that are maybe like a little bit less known. I don't know. Like whenever I watch a show, then I'm like, oh, this is a really interesting show, and then I see like a couple of famous actors in it that kind of have like a, I don't know, like an off the cuff role. I'm just like, oh god, please don't. I don't know. Maybe I'm alone in this one, but doo-doo. Let's see. This one should be a lie, and we're gonna be lazy. Locate it over. Up. Just see that we kind of align the edges with it. I prefer lesser known actors as I see more the characters from the film. Yeah. I think a lot of the more well-known actors, they come with like a lot of baggage because you've seen them in like another place, right? I can't get into fiction anymore. My brain broke somewhere. Brain malfunction. The last thing we've been watching is Bodies. And it's like a trippy show with like time travel back and forward, and you know, like very confusing as well. Like you need to pay attention with some of these shows. Sometimes they're great, and then sometimes they're like, I don't know. Maybe it'll come back when I finish school and get a job. Yeah, maybe. Maybe. What's happening here? So one of them is showing up in... Where is it? Oh, was I watching... Probably still looking at the one underneath it. Oh, no. Let's see what I've done. Yep. This. Oh. What? What happened here? Oh my god. What? Nothing changed though. Oh. Stupid. I am stupid. I copied the geo, not the modifier. No, I did it again. Shit. No, go back. I'm confusing myself here. Yeah. Oh. Okay. Now we're good again. This one doesn't need the roof creator on it. It depends on the actor, I guess. I think someone like Christian Bale could do most roles. Yeah, but no. I think he could. I think a lot of people that you see could, right? I think just I don't like that the big actors come with like so much baggage, right? Like whenever I see one, I'm always like, oh god. No, I don't know. Don't know what that says about me. Henry Cavill was the best for Geralt. I think a lot of people can agree, but I can't say. But I can't say I really enjoyed the series. I haven't watched the last 2 seasons. Oh, but you didn't enjoy the series. Do you think that's because of Henry Cavill, Andrea? Let's just duplicate this again. Let's hide it and then just apply all this stuff. Oh, and I had to do like some shenanigans afterwards as well. Yeah, okay, so I need to convert my UV map to the actual UV. Okay. Then I think it should be good. Let's do a test. Yeah, okay. Seems to be good. I think the Witcher series was ruined by the writing. The books are great, but they try to change it too much for no good reason. I have no clue. That is actually interesting that you bring that up, because I think that's like another part of the baggage that I'm sometimes fortunate that I don't have, right? Even though I have the books of The Witcher here, like I've never really read them, even though I'm planning on to a certain point, and maybe then I can understand, but yeah. Because you hear this said a lot, right? Like, oh, but in the books, this or that, and I can understand where that's coming from, but my outline gone. Oh, I just selected as like selectable. Ugh. Story was just yeah. So maybe there's something to it. Maybe wrong though. No, this is the thing, right? I don't think you're wrong. I think that's just like your personal opinion, right? Doesn't mean that you're wrong. Most of the time, I felt like the story wasn't about Geralt, but the people around him. I might be wrong though. Yeah, that's an interesting one, right? Because I think that's the way that they're trying to set it up as well. Because it's not only about like The Witcher, right? Like The Witcher is a component of its environment. So they kind of have to do that. But maybe I think, like maybe it was a bit too much. Depends on how much you're paying attention to too, I guess. I can say I didn't really pay attention to that. Which says more about me again than anyone else, but hey. Little Nacho baby is bored. Oh, are you coming to interrupt me now, huh? What are you doing? Nacho! He's playing with a little toy right behind me. Ugh. Baby! Where are you? Huh? Oh, sorry, Matt. I like my new camera setup. Hey, back him! Playing with this little... It's full of treats. Oh! That one first. Oh, there's a rock though. Hold on. Yeah. Hey, Brandon. Let's see. What you? You. Oh. Dangerous game here, buddy. Dog! Camera's crooked now. Well, this is why I keep coming back. McFall, does he actually eat nachos? Yes, he does, actually. But we're trying to not give him too many of them because they have like a lot of salt. But he does eat nachos. Oh, you done? Weighted normals. Skew shot to add tension and interest to the sequence. Yeah, yeah, it's an action shot now. He's adorable! Yee! Good boy. Probably want to make these all sharp as well. Yeah, because that's better for the shading. I just need to make sure that nothing else fucks up because of it. Okay, so it's not as horrible as I was expecting to replace like the roofs, but oh, see, that's what I mean. Like, I don't wanna have this. So I think I'm just gonna select all of these, then select sharp, sharp, and do the same thing here. I have select sharp in here? No. Okay. Why I keep coming back. Doggo playtime! Yeah, it's Screechy's time now. Huh? Like in the evenings when he knows that he needs to go to bed and like Tiffany's already asleep, like he will just like come and sit next to me and he will just like stare up like in between like my leg and like the armrest just to get some attention. And then sometimes I have to go with him to like his little corner that he has on the sofa where he gets to sleep and just pet him until he falls asleep. Such a weirdo. But yeah, evenings are pretty chill, you know? Playing some World of Warcraft, petting a dog. What's better? What's better than all that? So, these rooftops, where do we use them actually? Ah, so cute. Yeah, I know. Like whenever he's scared, he will also sit like underneath the desk as well. Because he's anxious, like that happens quite a lot. Where are these rooftops used though? Where am I using them currently? Let's have a look. This building. With the broken roof. This one goes here. Did you do all these variations by hand, or did you use BCG techniques or Houdini or something like that? No, it's all by hand. You're talking about the buildings, right? One was misaligned anyway. Yeah, because I am currently using 5.0.3. Oh no, 5.1 for this one. So I don't have access to PCG. May I start a petition to whenever you work on these buildings, you only listen to house building theme from Red Dead? I have not listened to it. But I'm pretty sure that Red Dead is gonna get me on their copyright list pretty soon then. Let's see, so we're gonna put this to here. Yep, for the buildings. Yeah, for the buildings I just built them by hand. No fancy techniques here. Just good old handiwork. Feels nice and farmy, yeah. I'm pretty happy with this little building. Just happy with buildings in general, even though we have to tweak them, but yeah. I'll have to simulate it by listening to myself on loop. I'll listen to it after the stream, just to get in the mood for the next time, right? I want to get into spline technique soon. How did you do the grooves for the card in the mud? They are separate meshes. So you see, so we have the track, or did I call them something different? Road meshes. We got these guys, right, that I use for the roads. And I just use like landscape splines for them. So like these are just built in like to I wanna go manage splines, and in this thing you can draw splines. And then once you have your splines, then you can add those meshes to it. So let's see. I don't think I have set it up here, but like in my other scene I have set it up. And then you can just like add these little meshes to your splines. So you don't have to do like any spline work yourself. Then I just have like 2 variations of it. But to go, thanks for the stream and answering all my questions. Have a good weekend, all. Same to you, Andrea. Enjoy the weekend. Pretty cool, thanks, no worries. There's one thing that I want to fix here, which I honestly should have done before I converted them. We have this line here that is like quite noticeable. Just gonna make sure that we kind of tweak the curve a little bit. So we have like a more gradual slope. And that might honestly be like the last thing that I'll do for the stream. Round it off here. Well, just in a little bit after I've done these roofs. Just make sure. Plonk it on there. Merge the two. No. Port them. Because you can see like this little nick like makes it look like there's like an actual line. And like the whole thing. So hopefully that is now resolved. Pretty subtle stuff like this in a modular kit is gonna make or break it. Yeah. Looks like way better now. Can't really see the lines anymore. Way better. I'm just gonna have to do the same thing as well with the other sections. So I'm just adding like 2 edges and then setting the flow of all of these. That's it. Okay. Then we're gonna do apply all. Convert to UV map. It's kind of annoying that you have to do that every time. Oh. Oh no, we're good. We're good. We're good. Merge everything. And we're gonna... One thing that we kind of forgot to check is like the little overhang here. Yeah. All good. It's all good. Cool. So, these ones are done. Good. Just gonna cross them off. Nearly there. So these were wood 1, 2, 4. And then 2 of the end caps. What's the name for those? 4 meter. Okay. Nearly done. A couple more on this list of the building pieces. 3, 5, 8, 9. how many? 12. 12 I still need to do from this entire list of modules. We're nearly there. Probably before last stream, I'm gonna take these all off. And then we can have a look at what we need to do to probably get like our first set of images out there. But I'll need to think how I'm gonna release stuff. Because... No! Big Val! No! 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 Yeah, but what I was saying is that after that, I'll probably have to have a look at what pack is kind of complete, right? So for example, I've started divvying them up into like packs. So for example, the generic pack, probably gonna be the first pack that we're kind of gonna go in and like make it as an actual thing together with the modular pieces. And then see if all the stuff in that pack is going to be worth putting into like an asset pack for the Unreal Engine marketplace. And there's still stuff in here that I need to finish, right? So for example, these tents, they need like a definite polish pass. But most of these are in a very, very good state. So I think the tents, let me have a look at the list here. The tents. So I think basically anything with thatch or tarp is gonna need to be done, and then some stuff with stone as well. So I have like a well here, which we need to work on the base and then refine the top, but that should be easy enough. And once we have like all the generic stuff out there, then we can start focusing on like the next chapter, which is probably going to be making more stuff for the market. That's the thing. Like I need to decide whether we're going to just go with like a first release as like a generic pack for Unreal Engine or like the Unreal Engine marketplace, or if I'm going to add the market to that list as well. So I'll need to have a look. I think my first inclination is that we might add the market into it as well as like the base pack. But I'll need to have a look. Because that means that I do have to do some more stuff for the market. Like, because we don't really have any food. We don't really have any herbs yet, which might also be interesting to make. Yeah. Lots of stuff to do, but the buildings are really getting to like a solid piece now. Lots of testing. I'm pretty confident that we can make these all look like really, really good now. Because I have all the stuff to build it correctly. So yeah. We'll see what we get between the streams. And yeah, I'm not sure what we're gonna do next time. Probably just continue like some other assets. Maybe some more interesting ones this time. Yeah. I want to thank you all for being here on this journey. I know that these streams are probably not the most exciting ones out there, but it's also a showcase into like what goes into it, right? Like really all the boring, unfiltered stuff too, where yeah, stuff like this needs to happen. Just make it look like really good. They could go and break their scenes up into packs. Yeah, that's probably what I'm gonna do too. I just don't know where the cutoff is gonna be for the individual packs, right? Because we could have the market as part of like the main package, or if I add more to the market, then we could have it as like a separate package as well. So that means you would have like the core generic medieval stuff, right? And then all the additional things are going to be like separate packs. And then what we can do is have sort of like a DLC approach. Like whenever I feel like I'm working on a pack, then I can focus on one thing at a time and add that to the marketplace whenever we want. It's always interesting to see. Oh, thank you so much, Brigitte. And thank you so much, Mario, for saying the same thing. Yeah, we'll see where this road takes us. I'll have a think about it, and I'll keep you all up to date in the next stream. But thanks for being here. If you like this, like the stream, share it with other people that might find it interesting. This helps a lot as well. And yeah, honestly, just being here and being chatty and asking questions, that's honestly all I can ask for. So thanks for being here, and have a nice weekend, everybody. Bye-bye.